as well as increased toxins in the seafood we eat. Meanwhile, farmers and other industries are supportive of the EPA changes. You know, I thought the EPA was there to protect you. Yeah, they're not protecting you. So anyway, if you're in the Washington area, the public hearing will be held from 3 o'clock to 5 p.m. Wednesday at the EPA office in Seattle. They want you to register online before they're going to fill up all the spots. Look, man, you guys should have people lined up all around the neighborhoods. Like, you should just inundate this event. So the reason that we're so concerned is the water quality standards are the front line of defense against toxic chemicals that cause cancer, that are in our water and our fish. You know, this shouldn't even be coming up. This is like what they do with the radiation, all the radiation monitors. You know, whenever the levels get high, they just change the standard of the background radiation, just like they're going to do with the 5G. So no sleeping in Seattle. You guys need to get to that meeting. Register. I'll put the link in the description here in a few minutes. In fact, I already got it. Oh yeah, I haven't posted it yet, but I will. I'll post it here in just a few. Well, over in Switzerland, the federal court rules against homeschooling. The Switzerland highest court has ruled that parents do not have a constitutional right to provide school-age children with private lessons at home. This decision reinforces the right of cantons to establish very restrictive rules, even bans on homeschooling. I mean, come on, man. See, this is what's going to happen when you give up your rights. They want your kid. They want to be able to brainwash your kid. They don't want your kid to grow up knowing how to do things, how to take care of themselves, how to cook, how to do finances. They don't want to teach your kid that. They want to teach you the new world order. So it's too late for these guys out here. I don't know what you guys are going to do. So now you can't even homeschool your children. Now, we did have a win in the UK. The UK's first 5G court case, and the people won. A new court ruling in Britain upholds right of people to know the dangers of unproven 5G microwave technology. The UK recorder Nolan QC refused to gag the anti-5G campaigner Mark Steele. 5G is a fifth generation cellular network technology that provides broadband. Like, see, they're going to roll this out everywhere they possibly can until, you know, they're just you're going to be forced to take it. Unless you're, you know, that's why they're trying to hit the rural areas first. And then over in Europe, you have Mount Blanc destabilized, could partially collapse. They said part of it could collapse. About 250,000 cubic meters may break away from the glacier and hurl down the mountain. Local authorities have closed the roads and started evacuations. You know, I looked at this and I really couldn't, like, try to see what they're looking at. I mean, I can see all the chemtrails and stuff. You know, they got some wicked weather going on over in Europe. We showed it's all the remnants of Dorian and Humberto, and you know, they get waxed. They had all the aerosols that were deployed, and then they get all the leftovers from all the hurricanes. They have an Arctic cold front coming out, or a new, let's see here, what was a new heat wave? I don't know. I think I got that article up here too. We'll get to it whenever we come across it. And now another consumer watch. 5G cell phone towers signal renewed concerns over health impacts. So over in Oakland, is the cell phone tower going up in your neighborhood? If it's not now, it may soon. See, they're going to force this stuff on everybody. So the wireless carriers are installing millions of them across the country to enable the new, faster 5G cell phone technology. Never mind frying your brains or your kids. They're going to do it anyway. So right outside this guy's bedroom window, he can see the new pole where Verizon will soon install a next generation cell tower. This would be a big tower generating lots of RF outside the bedroom window, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. See, people need to get off your couch and fight this stuff. We fought it in Independence and got them removed. You guys can do it too. You just need to get your neighbors off their ass and start fighting. Don't comply. Be the resistance. Now this is another article. Police unveil a system that allows them to watch video from your phone's camera. A New Jersey police department has unveiled technology that allows 911 operators to stream video from callers' smartphones. Sounds like a good idea at first, but where does the surveillance stop? You know, what gives you, they can, you know, if they can do that, they could just start looking at your phone camera at any time. They already do it. Google already does it. So more stuff that needs to be battled out. All right, this comes out of the Journal of Geophysical Research. Magnetospheric physics, the radiation belt electron precipitation by man-made VLF transmission. Now we talk about how all the ionospheric heaters send up high frequency signals, and they basically turn the ionosphere into a plasma antenna. Well, then they bounce some signals off to the VLF transmitters. But here they're talking about doing it from space. So enhancements of a drift loss cone fluxes in the inner radiation belt have been observed to coincide with geographic location of powerful VLF transmitters. National Weather Service. In this paper, we expand upon the earlier study to examine the occurrence frequency of the drift loss cone enhancements observed above transmitters and the intensity of the flux enhancements to demonstrate the linkage to transmitter operation. Our study has confirmed the strong dependence of these enhancements have upon nighttime ionospheric conditions. No enhancements were observed during the daytime periods. You know, what this reminds me of is when we're looking at the radars. When you're looking at the radars and they're calling these all bugs and birds and bees. You know, you got like chaff being deployed down there in Florida. And we got a new term. They call them roast rings now. Not only do you have the birds and the bees and all that crap, now they're calling them roast rings. Now, I don't have that clip yet, but we'll show it here in a little bit. So let me get back to that. So even before the discovery of the radiation belts, high altitude nuclear explosions were studied as a source for injecting electrons into the geomagnetic field. This was confirmed by satellite in 1958. 3 nuclear explosions conducted under Operation Argus took place in the South Atlantic, producing belts that trapped electrons from the decay of the fusion fragments. Trapped particles remained stable for several weeks. You know, this is the kind of stuff they do, man. They launch nuclear weapons up in the ionosphere. Don't tell nobody. You know, they're affecting all the weather, like everything. That's why the weather's not natural, man. They're doing all this on purpose, but then your meteorologists are going to tell you crap like this. Let me play a clip.
Hey, did you know that weather radar can show things other than storms, like here in this example? And this is actually something you'll see pretty often in the early mornings during spring, summer, and fall. You ever check?
My question is, have you tested the rainwater? And if you haven't, have you seen the results of our rainwater tests? And also, are you aware that many of the people sitting in this room right here have very high levels of barium, aluminum, and strontium in their blood? People are getting sick and dying. And we want the ADEQ not just to give us a little speech today, but actually to maybe perhaps speak out against it if you know it's going on. And if not, I would suggest you do a lot more investigation.
The app to check the radar, and there's all this weird, just, blue stuff all over the radar. That's all rain down toward the south. But what is this? This is ground clutter. Let me explain what that means. It's basically you're seeing bugs, maybe a few birds, and some bats also, but there's a reason why this happens.
Up towards the Topeka area, look at all of this. Uh-oh, that's got to be snow, right? Because it's so cold outside. No, not snow, Joe. This is actually birds taking off from the various rivers, lakes, ponds over on the Kansas side, and they show up, believe it or not, on Doppler radar.
What you're seeing there in the middle of the eye here, this is the eye of the storm where it's pretty quiet, so you wouldn't expect there's going to be any rain there. This is actually birds.
So I'd like a comment on, one, the rainwater, what's in it, and two, what's in our blood. And if it's not coming from geoengineering, is it your responsibility to investigate that and tell us where it is coming from? Thank you.
Yeah, birds actually showed up in the middle of this hurricane, as they often do. We saw this with Hurricane Arthur a couple years ago. This is a product that shows you how similarly shaped everything is, where you see the red colors, you got a lot of similar things flying around like rain. All this blue stuff here is, a mixture of birds, maybe some feathers flying around. This product shows you what shape things are, okay? And basically when you see these kind of higher colors here, like the purples and the whites, that's when things are more hamburger shaped rather than, vertically shaped. So think about how birds fly. Right? So they're they would appear more hamburger shaped to the radar. That's why they're showing up like that in there. Very, very interesting stuff.
When we have these earthquakes is the birds. We can see this. So what I want to do here, I'm showing you radar here for the last couple of hours. See how it's quiet? This was before the earthquake. Watch behind me as all of a sudden you start to see all of that. What that actually is the birds taking flight.
For coastal, we're in one of these bands. This is about as nasty as it's been. We had some bands like this last night. Well, this morning we were not on TV. It was the dark hit.
And two, what's in our blood. And if it's not coming from geoengineering, is it your responsibility to investigate that and tell us where it is coming from?
All right. So how about them birds? Now they're calling them roast rings. It's just amazing, all the crap that the mainstream media comes up with to lie and deceive the people. Let me go ahead and I gotta bookmark this because I'll probably have to do a whole video on that whole thing. Now remember this come out back in like 2018. NASA says 5 billion people face risk of water shortage. Well, what'd they do to fix that? They flooded everybody out all across the whole world. They flooded out the Midwest. They flooded out Iran. They flooded out the desert. They flooded out Australia. They flooded out Europe. I mean, they just flooded everybody out. So, where's the droughts? The only place that's having a drought right now is in California. Everybody else has been flooded. Maybe a few other states. And then we have the CDC confirms Morgellons is a real disease. Well, everybody's been talking about this for years. Millions of people suffer worldwide from Morgellons disease, characterized by weird biting sensations on the skin, mysterious fibers visibly growing out of the skin. Most within the medical community has dismissed the patients suffering from the disease. We know a lot of people that have this disease. They've called into the shows, and now they want to come out and talk about it. That's why none of these people can be trusted. And then this article comes out by examining bodies of dead Iraqi children who have congenital birth defects. Researchers have proven their conditions were directly related to U.S. bombardment of the country with depleted uranium rounds early in the Iraq war. That's about all I'm going to say about that. Just crazy stuff. UN Climate Action Summit falls woefully short of expectations. Good. Kiss off, you liars. So while we're supposed to be global warming, we have tons of snow happening early. The temperatures was only hot in a few states. Everywhere else was actually below normal. Missouri never hit triple digits this year. And you noticed the mainstream media, they just kept pounding the feels like temperature. You know, it feels like it's 111. It's 83 degrees outside. But they were trying to use mind control and, you know, to try to make you think it was hotter than it really was. And it wasn't. So the earliest snow in decades in Sweden. Autumn arriving sooner in Europe. Like I said, we got, you know, same things are going on everywhere. Hey, get the IR loop. I think we are done with all, done with all the articles. Let's jump into some weather stuff. Yep, exactly out there. That's how corrupt everything is. First, let's take a look at the targets. You know, they pretty much stayed the same from the 16-day forecast. The only difference is I'm seeing a little moisture for Northern California and Florida. It looks like they're wanting to hit you guys with some heavy rain. Here, we'll see when this thing starts off here. We back this up till we get till right before it starts. That way I can give you the dates. So here's starting right around October 7th. They got a storm system coming in. Whether it will be a hurricane or not, you know, it's hard to say. What I can tell you is it will be man-made. It'll be man-manipulated. So, you know, it's kind of showing a signature. But, you know, we'll just have to see when we, next Sunday, we'll go in, we'll have a little bit better, closer models. We'll look at the Sahara dust. Man, this thing was already loaded. Why is it not loaded now? Can't wait to try to get rid of this internet. Oh, you won't believe what happened. You know, I showed you guys yesterday how they throttled me down, like turned my internet off. Not really off. They just had it at an idle, and then I end up buying more data. Let me check this out. Now today, I check it to make sure it got in there, and this will blow your mind if you were here last night. Look what they did. So yesterday, I was completely out of data. But now, today, look, they cranked it all up like I wasn't out of data. And now it's way up to 40 gigabytes. But yesterday, they turned it off. They throttled all the way down where I could barely get to this site to purchase some more data tokens. Then I purchased them. And then the next day, this is what they did. They changed the whole graph, man. This is like, they are screwing with me like hard. So like I could have not paid, you know, a couple times, but they shut me off. And then they raised the whole freaking level, man. It's ridiculous. It's robbery. Robbery of the off-grid people that are trying to get the word out. So let me go ahead and get rid of that. And see if I can get it back on the right scene. They're probably throttling me right now. Man, I can't wait to tell them to screw off. Alright. Let's see if this is working. See, like these were all loaded, man. This is just ridiculous. Like this was all loaded. I had it all loaded. Now look, nothing's loaded. It really hacks me off. Let's see if this is still loaded. Now we showed you yesterday how they were dumping all kinds of aerosols over the Bahama Islands down here, the Leeward Island, whatever them islands are, and it sucked a hurricane apart and sucked all the moisture right back down here. See, they're going to try to recycle this storm to create something over here in Florida. Just like they recycle every storm system and send it over to Europe. They just keep getting hit with wave after wave. It looks like they are steering the jet stream straight across like they did most of the beginning of the year. Look, there's no troughs. There's no ridges. It's just going completely straight across. So pretty crazy. And then they have a probable cyclone they're trying to conjure up over here in the Pacific, and they want it to go backwards and go up through the Bajas there. I mean, there's no way it's going to go up and then backwards. Just no way. Everything is flowing from east to west, has been for years now. The only way that would be pulled up is if we see the aerosols and they force it to pull up. Let's go ahead and jump out of that, see if this is working yet. Are you kidding me? This is just ridiculous, man. I hope this new company I called will hook us up, because this is just outright ridiculous. Alright, so here we are looking at the rain amounts. This is like the next 2 weeks worth of rain, and I'm trying to just click it forward, but it's not loading here. So let's just jump into the world map. Hopefully I have this thing loaded good enough. We have bunker fuel being deployed south of Australia. A few aerosols out here. Check over here at New Zealand, they're whited out, but we have several spraying operations down here off the coast of Victoria, or Melbourne, Aladdin, or I'm not even sure how to pronounce that. Let me click the layers here. See, all this was loaded, and now they're just kind of screwing with this. Hey, thanks out there, National Dossier. But look at all the aerosols being deployed. And as you go up through the country, over here on the west side, look at this. At first I thought it said kill on it, but big old X's. This is intentional weather modification right here. This is nothing to do with water vapor, and we can just follow this out right where they're pulling the moisture. They're pulling moisture out here, and they're steering the atmospheric rivers. We'll be able to tell on the mimic map. So mass spraying operation over Australia, like just big time. And then you could even see maybe some frequencies in the chemtrails. So bombarded Australia. Might have a little storm system headed towards Guam, but I can't find Guam because it's like disappeared here. Let me see. Oh, there's Guam. Okay. So you got a little system there. Might scrub you guys. We'll have to just look at that here in a day or two. So you have a mass spraying operation in the Sea of Japan, all across North Korea, South Korea, big X's everywhere. Then over into India, the Republic of China. I mean, you got just mega grids going on here in China. We'll let that load. Yeah, pretty crazy, man. I had all these maps loaded. India's way down here. I didn't even get to India yet. So China and Japan over the Yellow Sea, mass spraying operation. There might be I can't tell if that's fires or aerosols there in Indonesia. And they already sprayed India. That's why they're getting moisture right now. Another spraying operation up here in North China. So you got several spraying operations up here in China. Hey, thanks, sir. Hey, it's all good. We're fine. We're gonna get through. We always do. Mongolia spraying operations. India's being blasted with some kind of fabricated storm coming out of the United Arab Emirates. We have aerosols over Africa. Just trying to blast through. You know where we don't have? How come How come the labels and place marks aren't on here? They're clicked on, but they're not showing up like they're supposed to. Wasn't that about well, what I was going to show you who only has been chemtrailed one time up in the north. Yeah, right here. They only had one spray this year, and it was right here, right in the north. You know, like 4 liners that went across there. Otherwise, they get fair weather cloud, you know, the real clouds like them, puffy white clouds. Everybody else gets the fake synthetic clouds. Spraying operations over Ukraine, up in Russia, worldwide spraying operations. We've seen all the spraying operations over Ireland, the UK, France, Netherlands, Germany. Now they're getting all waxed from all the aerosols that were deployed over the last few days. So they're pulling the moisture in, working our way over here to the United States. See, this should all be loaded, man. That's what drives me nuts sometimes. I get this thing all loaded, and then we get here live, and the damn thing don't work. It's frustrating. It's like not even close to being loaded like it was. Now it's showing even the map isn't loaded all the way. Alright, we got to give this thing a minute. You know, we had tornado weather is now 12 months out of the year. You know, they've put so many particulates up in the sky for the ground-based, the land-based, the air-based, and the ocean-based weather makers. So there's so much metallic metals and carbon fibers and all kinds of crap up in the air. It's just making every storm is severe. Every storm is a rain bomb. Look at all these microwave clouds up here. You don't think they're using some VLF transmitters? Of course they are. I can't believe this thing is not loading now. Let me just let that kind of see if we can get this. Look, it's even blacking out the west coast. What the heck? It was loaded farther than that earlier. Man, how frustrating. So we're going to have to start watching for heavy aerosols down here in the Cuba area, the Gulf of Mexico, here over the next week. We've seen they were spraying all over out here the last couple days. Now they're going to move that spraying operation down over Cuba, up in the Gulf of Mexico. They'll set up for that moisture to come into Florida. Heavy aerosol, the Ohio Valley. You know, they're pulling this system that way. I mean, we can see all the aircraft out here putting the aerosols down. And, you know, all the tornadoes that we spotted on the NextRads last night, man, there was some damage. Definitely with some tornadoes. Man, this thing just isn't loading either. And I went over this map pretty good. And we got aerosols out here off the coast of Oregon. We also have bunker fuel being deployed in a weird spot. Yeah, right down here. We have bunker fuel being deployed all off the coast of Ecuador, Peru, Argentina. This is all bunker fuel. All these big kind of white lines. It's like coming out of a ship. Look at it eating away the lower stuff. This is low level spraying. We can see it up here too. These are all bunker fuel ships here. I'll put on the layer if it'll load. So it may not load. At least the stream is in the green right now, but like these maps are not loading. You know, we got a big ionospheric heater right here in Peru. Tons of VLF transmitters all over the place. So now, hopefully, when this loads, you're going to be able to really see the bunker fuel operations. And this is kind of a weird area to catch the bunker fuel operations. So they're setting up for a change. Wherever we see these ships land these, you know, low-level, super thick, nasty boat trails, something bad always happens in the vicinity. So this may have something to do with the storm system that's going to be coming up to Florida. So maybe they're just setting it up now, and they're going to pull this thing right up through the Gulf of Mexico into Florida. So look at that. They got an A. Looks like the Freemason symbol. So there's just some bunker fuel. And then here's a big nasty bunker fuel. Like, you know, if a normal cruise liner ship puts off, there's a bunch here too, they're just light. 1 million cars worth of emissions a day. What do you think this bunker fuel is putting off, man? 100 million? 1 billion? But yet they want to blame it on our cars, man. It's all a lie. We just looked at the, so it's going to be here between, I think it was the 7th, August 7th. Let me back it up if it'll go. So, you know, between August 7th on up, you know, you got heavy rain here. You're looking at 2 feet of rain there off the Gulf of Mexico, and it's heading right towards Florida. Starts raining over central Florida on the 9th. And you're looking at feet of rain. So Florida is definitely a target. The only thing that will change this is, you know, the aerosols. If they're going to be spraying out ahead of this. So they'll be spraying, you know, between the 3rd, the 4th, and then they'll be spraying right over central Florida. And, you know, we'll see the path by the spraying operations. They can't hide it. So within the next 2 weeks, you know, you're going to have a lot of rain here over central Florida. Especially, you're going to have heavy rain through Mexico, New Mexico, Texas, Kansas. They're targeting the Missouri River still, all through central Iowa, flooded. And that's getting real close to the Boston area up there, getting some heavy moisture. You got heavy moisture up in Washington and Northern California. Mudslides. So there you go, man. That's the target zones right there. We'll see about the snowfall. Let's put it on the total snowfall. So you got some pretty heavy snows. You got like 20 inches here right on the border, 21, 8 inches. Let's see if I can zoom in. I can barely read them numbers. So we zoom this thing up a little more. Get some better numbers here. So all through Wyoming, anywhere from 8 inches up to 20 inches. Does that say 33 inches? Hold on. Yeah, we got 33 inches in this gray area. So wow, you got a major snowstorm coming in Wyoming. And you got 24 inches over Yellowstone, it looks like, or right around in there. So some pretty good snows going on already. You know, depending on how these weather patterns, if they don't change the way they're steering the atmospheric river right now, we're going to be looking at, you know, 40, 50 feet of snow for places that get 10 to 12 inches of snow. Like, if you convert all the moisture we had, it would just be phenomenal, the snow that would have fell over the Midwest. So we're going to have to see, you know, how the atmospheric river is going along. We'll see if they change it. Because if they don't, man, it's going to be one wicked winter. I think we called for 500 inches of snow last year in California, and they end up getting 600. So we still got Invest, we got Tropical Storm Karen, we got Lorenzo, we got Karen. Let's go ahead and check the Mimic. All right, while this is loading, I got another clip that I can play from the Texas License Bureau. Now, I haven't played this clip, so most of you probably have never heard this one. This is coming right from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It's a few minutes long, but you may not have heard this. I took this little snippets out of a 2-hour long Texas Weather License Bureau weather thing.
All right, so my name is Dr. Dan Martin. I'm a research engineer with USDA ARS, Agricultural Research Service in College Station, Texas. I've been doing aerial application technology research and extension for the last 25 years, 10 years at LSU and 15 years with USDA. So back in 1999, the USDA patented a new technology at that time for an aerial electrostatic spraying application system. So this system has been in place for the last 20-some years. Worked very well for production in agriculture. It was just 2 years ago that we looked.
Did you hear that? The U.S. Department of Agriculture patented electromagnetic rain making technologies over Texas. Let me play a little bit more of this.
For an aerial electrostatic spraying application system. So this system has been in place for the last 20-some years. Worked very well for production in agriculture. It was just 2 years ago that we looked at using this type of technology to enhance rainfall. And so this is the system that we use right here. This is an electrostatic nozzle that was patented by USDA back 20 years ago. And what it does is it charges the spray droplets as they exit the nozzle. Okay, and so yeah, so this is just a little bit of a close-up there of the different components. As I said, this system's been used in production agriculture for the last 20 years. Patented by Dr. James Carlton, who's a USDA research engineer like myself. So here are the major components of the system. And we've done a lot of work actually initially in the wind tunnel. 2 years ago we started looking at how it might enhance rainfall in the wind tunnel. And then from there we went on and did some additional testing over at Eglin Air Force Base because the wind tunnel results showed some promise. So we wanted to dig a little deeper under climate controlled conditions. This is what the system looks like to the pilot. It shows him what the voltage is on the system and then also what the current that's being applied to the system is. In the wind tunnel we had, I did lots of different tests to optimize.
So there you go, man. There's the U.S. Department of Agriculture admitting they've been using this technology on the storms for over 20 years, ladies and gentlemen. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is seeding your clouds with electromagnetics, electrostatic. So here's just another piece of the puzzle. Let's listen just a little bit more.
As the system, the most important parameter is charge to mass ratio. It's how much charge you can get on a particular droplet of certain mass. And so the higher that charge to mass ratio is, the more attracted the droplet is to the target material, which in our case it's normally plants. In this case it's those small droplets that are in clouds. And so the higher the charge to mass ratio, the more attracted those small droplets are to our charge droplet. And so thus the charge droplet becomes the nucleus, the cloud condensation nucleus that we're looking for.
My question is, have you tested the rainwater? And if you haven't, have you seen the results of our rainwater tests? And also, are you aware that many of the people sitting in this room right here have very high levels of barium, aluminum, and strontium in their blood? People are getting sick and dying. And we want the ADEQ not just to give us a little speech today, but actually to maybe perhaps speak out against it if you know it's going on, and if not, I would suggest you do a lot more investigation.
Man, I couldn't get the scene back. So there you go, man. There's, that's from this year. That's from the June 6th Texas Licensing Association. Like, you can go right to the Texas Drivers, the TDLR, Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. You can go right here, and whenever it loads here, you can get your chemtrail license. You can get your weather bod license. So here we are, texas.gov. Just click license types and go to the very last one, weather modification. You can apply for weather modification. You can buy your own cloud ionizers and use drones. So this has been going on for a long time. There's so many more states that has the same thing. So to say that it's not going on, to say that it's not affecting the weather is just nuts, man. It's definitely going on. It's been going on since the 1800s. They've been trying to steer the rivers of the sky since the 1800s. And thanks out there, Bori. Thanks out there, American Patriot, 1776. FEMA Region 12. Much love. Yeah, we're sitting here in FEMA Region 7. Zone 1. So anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and call this a night. Look at the aerosols over Oregon, Washington. Right where all the heavy snow going. They're doing ice nucleated spraying. You know what else they probably got? They got the Idaho Power Company. You got the U.S. Department of Agriculture. You got the power companies like the PG&E, the Idaho Power Company. Hey, thanks out there, Mad Am Mystic Watcher. So check this out. We're right here at the IdahoStatesman.com. Outdoors recreation. So they're harvesting the storms. They're using, Idaho Power uses injections of silver iodide from the ground-based towers and flares on modified aircraft to coax winter storm to produce more snow. They're harvesting the storms. This come out July 19th, 2019. Tell me again this is not going on. Idaho Power can make it snow, increasing water reserves. Remember at the beginning of the night, last year NASA said that we were running out of fresh water. And what they do? They flooded everybody. So anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and call this show. I want to thank everybody out there that shares this information out. Thanks for helping us out and all that. Much love. We'll be here tomorrow night, God willing. We're going to play a song called Rise, man. People need to rise. You can't sit back and do nothing. Anyway, be the change. Be an activist. Wake some people up. Anyway, guys, much love. Here we go. Let's crank it up and rise. So if I can get it to change, we'll see here.